thing about what's going on with Kush at this point in time. We're getting into some ethics stuff here, and this is where Gamergate's important to think about here. Now, it says that Jared Kushner ordered deletion of Observer articles critical of his friends. A senior White House advisor repeatedly ignored journalism ethics when he was the publisher of the New York Observer in 2012, according to BuzzFeed News. Now, ethics is something that we should all push to protect, right? When it comes to journalism, if you're writing a story that is critical of one of your friends or one of your, you got to let it stand. It's an ethics thing. But unfortunately, if you own the newspaper, you can control what happens. And apparently that's what Kushner did. And it just kind of goes to show you that, like, what you thought was going to be a rather centered, moderate voice in the White House as just another freaking, kind of silver spoon up his ass, unethical bastard. Now, it says here that Kushner personally ordered the deletion of the New York Observer articles that were critical of his friends and real estate colleagues during his time as the paper's publisher. Prior to assuming the role of senior advisor under his father-in-law, President Donald Trump, in 2012, Kushner directed third-party software engineer to remove the content, according to emails obtained by BuzzFeed. The deleted articles included negative coverage of real estate firm Vantage Properties, known as Candlebook Properties, and the company's president, Neil Rubler. One of the deleted URLs appears to have hosted an article about Rubler, making the Village Voice's worst landlords of a New York list in 2012. And considering that a lot of what Kushner is involved in, and especially with what Trump's involved in, and I'm not tying this at all to Trump, I'm just using it as kind of a comparison, is real estate. And being voted one of the worst landlords even in 2010, that's never a good thing. So getting rid of it is pretty scummy, considering that they were just reporting on it, right? But some out there might argue, well, he owns it. He has the ability to control what goes on his platform, which is true. But when you are a news outlet, you are a publisher. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that at all. Now, Kushner also called for the deletion of a 2012 article about his friend, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, buying a $6.75 million apartment in New York. Austin Smith was a software consultant who reportedly fielded and executed Kushner's deletion requests. He wrote about the practice on a Hacker News forum, saying that that Kushner, a newspaper owner of all people, would participate in an administration that labels news media the enemy of the people, is an affront to the very notion of freedom of the press and an utter betrayal to those who worked hard and in good faith for him at the Observer, which is wholly true. Right? It's absolutely true. If you're sitting there and you're ordering a third-party tech guy to go in and get rid of these articles that were critical of people, that's unethical as all hell. And now, when we look at Kushner as just a person, and we look at all of the things that have come out around him in regards to his role as a senior advisor in the Trump administration, I'm talking like just not what he's done and the role. Well, that's even questionable too. But looking at like how he's had to update his security release information, or his update all that stuff multiple times because he keeps just magically forgetting that he's met with certain people that the government may want to know that he's met with. Why he lost his security clearance for quite some time over this particular problem. Then he got it back. And we haven't heard much out of Kushner in a while, but still, it doesn't do a lot. These articles and his own actions in regards to being a senior advisor don't bode well for looking at him as being maybe an ethical source of just about anything. The guy's obviously a businessman. The guy's obviously looking to benefit his family, to benefit his business. And I definitely understand that. But at the same time, when you run a newspaper, you should not be doing this. Or you should not be doing this, especially doing it covertly, right? Because that's what it was. He was doing this covertly. Check this out. Even his editor-in-chief at the time says here that secretly removing articles from the news site is universally considered a major ethics violation in the journalism industry. Elizabeth Spiers, the former editor-in-chief of The Observer, told BuzzFeed News that she was not aware at the time that Kushner had circumvented editorial leadership to remove articles from the site, saying here that Spiers blasted Kushner in a series of tweets on Monday, suggesting that he was the worst possible owner of a news operation. Some readers questioned how the authors wouldn't have noticed their articles being removed, but Spiers suggested that it was understandable given the sheer volume of stories the Observer published. And the truth of the matter is, that's pretty much a good observation of how he would have gotten away with it. When you publish, like, let's say, the news stories the way that they have them up there, when you look at, like, let's take my channel, for example. So far, over the span of 6 years, I've published nearly 4,800 videos. And right now I'm putting out about 4 per day, which is a lot. It adds up. That's over 100 per month. If I were to delete one or to remove one, unlist it, whatever, for whatever reason, which I have taken videos down in the past for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes I've been outright wrong and I've just taken them down as a way to make sure that I don't, I don't want that information out there anymore. I've made a mistake on that. And we've seen a lot of that stuff. Other times it's errors or stuff has gone wrong. But most people don't know because they're not going to go back and look through the back catalog. They're not going to go look through the back information that's there. And the same thing happens with these reports. We find out about these stories being deleted or being removed or being taken down for whatever reason. But unless there's a big spotlight drawn on it, we're just never ultimately going to know what's happening with that at all.